My name is Isabella Ward. I am 24 years old. I stood there on the cracked sidewalk in front of my little duplex in downtown Indianapolis, the night air thick with smoke, and the wail of fire sirens piercing through my shock. My bare feet were freezing against the pavement, and I was clutching nothing but my phone and an old hoodie I'd grabbed on the way out. The flames were licking up the side of the building, devouring everything I'd worked so hard to build on my own. That's when my family's car pulled up, headlights cutting through the haze, and my mom was the first one out, her face lit up by the orange glow. She took one look at the fire, then at me, and let out a sharp, satisfied laugh that cut deeper than the cold. Well, Isabella, looks like the universe finally decided to clean house on that mess you call a life, she said, her voice dripping with contempt right there in front of the neighbors and firefighters. I couldn't believe it. My mom, who had always made it clear I was the disappointment compared to my older sister Michelle, and even my younger brother Nathan, didn't even ask if I was hurt or if I'd lost everything. Instead, she pulled out her phone and started snapping pictures, angling for the best shot with the fire trucks in the background. "This is what happens when you think you're too good for your family," she added, tilting her head like she was delivering some profound wisdom. My dad just nodded along, arms crossed, but it was my mom's words that hit like a punch. She had initiated this cruelty, as she always did, making sure I knew exactly how little I meant to her. The rest of them, Michelle smirking in the passenger seat, Nathan chuckling from the back, followed her lead, but it was her deep-seated dislike for me that fueled it all. She'd resented me since I was a kid for not fitting into her perfect family image, for not being the golden child like Michelle or the pampered baby like Nathan. Like, have you ever had a mom who made you feel like you were born wrong? Like no matter what you did, you'd never measure up? Tell me in the comments if this sounds familiar. Where are you watching from? That night replayed in my head for months, but to understand why it broke me, I have to go back to how it all started. Growing up in our suburban home on the outskirts of Indianapolis, my mom ran the show like a director in her own twisted family drama. She was all about appearances, posting on social media about our blessed life, curating photos of holiday gatherings or backyard barbecues where everyone smiled just right. But behind the filters, she favored Michelle from day one. My older sister was the star, pretty outgoing, always involved in school events, and now running her own small event planning business. Mom would gush over her, saying things like, "Michelle's going places, she's got that spark I always wanted." Nathan, the youngest, could do no wrong either. He was the charming one, dabbling in side hustles like reselling sneakers online, and Mom babied him endlessly, covering his mistakes with excuses like, "He's just finding his way." Me, I was the middle child, the younger daughter who never quite shone in my mom's eyes. From as early as I can remember, she'd belittle me in subtle ways that added up. At a family holiday gathering when I was 10, I spilled juice on the carpet during a game, and Mom snapped, first her voice sharp in front of everyone. "Isabella, why can't you be more careful like your sister? You're always the one causing problems." Michelle would pile on with a laugh, and Nathan would get a pass for worse. Dad William went along with it, rarely stepping in. He worked long hours at his construction supply store and left the family dynamics to Mom. But it was her contempt that shaped everything. She saw me as the burden, the one who didn't enhance her image. I'd try to win her over by being helpful, cleaning up after events, organizing the garage, but she'd dismiss it with a sigh, saying, "That's nice, but Michelle's the one who really pulls things together." As I got older, that pattern deepened into something more toxic. In high school, when I got straight A's in math and accounting classes, Mom would downplay it. "Numbers are boring, Isabella. Michelle's out there making real connections." She'd push me to help with family stuff like sorting Dad's messy receipts from the store, but never with praise. Always with expectation. "Fix this for your father. He's too busy," she'd say, handing me a shoebox of papers, her tone implying I had nothing better to do. Meanwhile, she'd fund Michelle's dance classes or Nathan's latest gadget without question. I felt invisible unless I was useful, and even then, it was never enough. Her dislike showed in the little humiliations at my graduation party. She spent the whole time talking about Michelle's upcoming college plans, barely mentioning mine. Isabella's going to community college practical, I guess, she'd say with a shrug, making me feel small. By the time I turned 18, I couldn't take it anymore. I saved every penny from my part-time job at a local coffee shop and moved out to that duplex in downtown Indianapolis, a tiny place with creaky floors but my own space. I landed a job as an accounts receivable coordinator at a local distribution company. Nothing glamorous, but it paid the bills and let me use my skills with numbers. For the first time, I felt like I could breathe, without my mom's constant judgment hanging over me. But she didn't let go that easily. She'd call or text, starting with guilt trips. Isabella, your abandoning us family comes first. Then came the demands, always initiated by her. She'd forward me her medical bills saying, log into my insurance portal and sort this out. I can't deal with those confusing websites. Or she'd push me to help Michelle. Your sister's swamped with a client event, fix her budget spreadsheet so it doesn't look so scary. At first, I did it to keep the peace, hoping it'd earn me some approval. I'd spend evenings after work reorganizing Dad's store invoices, setting up payment reminders for Mom's doctor appointments, or balancing Michelle's event costs. Nathan got in on it too, with Mom encouraging him. Ask Isabella, she's good with money. He'd text about his sneaker flips, needing me to calculate if he could afford more inventory, and I'd end up loaning him small amounts like $500 here or there, with promises he'd pay back. Mom would praise them for hustling, but when I'd mention my own job promotion, she'd brush it off. That's fine, but Michelle's building a real brand. Her resentment was clear. She saw me as the lesser child, the one who didn't deserve the spotlight. So she used me as a resource while favoring the others. It built up slowly, that feeling of being drained. One afternoon, during a casual visit to their house, Mom cornered me in the kitchen while the others were in the backyard. Isabella, Nathan needs help tracking his sales. Do it quick before you leave, she said, shoving his laptop at me without asking if I had time. When I hesitated, her face hardened. Don't be selfish. This is what family does. Michelle walked in and added her 2 cents, but it was Mom who started it, always making sure I knew my place. I started feeling anxious at work, missing deadlines because I'd stayed up late fixing their messes. My relationships suffered too. I'd cancel dates to handle emergencies Mom dumped on me. But I told myself it was normal until the fire changed everything. The fire started from faulty wiring in the duplex, nothing I could have prevented. I woke up to the alarm blaring, smoke filling the rooms, and barely made it out. Standing there barefoot, watching my clothes, furniture, and mementos go up in flames, I called my family in a panic. They arrived, but instead of comfort, Mom led the attack. After her initial cutting words, she kept going. You probably didn't maintain the place right, always cutting corners. She filmed the scene, posting later about lessons in responsibility, tagging the family like it was a teachable moment. Dad muttered agreement, Michelle snapped selfies, Nathan joked about hot property. But Mom's laughter and contempt set the tone. They didn't offer a place to stay or even shoes. Figure it out yourself, you're independent now, Mom said as they drove off, leaving me to call a rideshare to a motel. The next morning, I woke in that dingy motel room off I-70, my body aching from stress, checking my phone out of habit. No concerned calls, but notifications from social media. Mom had posted first a photo of the fire with a caption, "Sometimes life clears out the clutter. Family first." Michelle reposted it with emojis, Nathan added fire stickers, but Mom initiated the mockery, twisting my tragedy into her narrative. It hurt seeing comments like, inspiring, huh, from her followers while I sat alone with nothing. I pulled myself together, filed the insurance claim using my work skills to upload docs and follow up, and found a small studio apartment in Broad Ripple within weeks. It had thin walls and no frills, but it was mine. That's when I decided to track everything. I opened a document on my laptop calling it Family Ledger. Every favor I'd done past and future went in there. Mom's insurance logins, Dad's tax prep, Michelle's event budgets, Nathan's loan calculations. Not to bill them, but to prove to myself I wasn't imagining the imbalance. Off her social media, Mom portrayed us as united, but in reality, she treated me like free labor while showering Michelle and Nathan with praise and support. The fire had exposed her true feelings. She was glad to see me suffer, as if it confirmed I was the problem child. A few weeks after settling into the studio, the demands started again, led by Mom. She called during my lunch break at work. Isabella, I got this confusing bill from the doctor, handle it for me. No hello, no check-in on how I was doing post-fire. I did it logging the time, but resentment built. Then at a family video call for Nathan's birthday, Mom steered the conversation to mockery first. Isabella, hope your new place isn't as flammable as the last, be more careful this time. Michelle laughed. Nathan grinned. Dad stayed quiet. It was her way of keeping me down, reminding everyone I was the lesser one. The call ended with her assigning me more tasks. While you're on, fix Michelle's latest client invoice. She's too busy being successful. That pattern continued for months. My health started slipping, sleepless nights led to migraines, and I lost a big account at work because I was distracted by Mom's latest emergency. She'd text screenshots of her brand deals she'd started influencing locally about family life, saying, "Review this contract. I don't have time." Always her initiating with that undertone of disdain. "You're the numbers person, stick to what you're good at." Michelle would follow up with event spreadsheets, Nathan with borrowing requests, but Mom pushed them, saying things like, "Isabella owes us for all we've done." I felt used and visible, except as a tool, and her deep dislike showed in every interaction. She'd never forgiven me for not being like Michelle, for choosing my own path. One evening, after a rough day where I had to explain a billing error to my boss caused by staying up fixing Dad's books at Mom's insistence, I scrolled through the ledger. Lines upon lines of entries, mostly driven by her demands. If I stopped, what would happen? The thought scared me, but the fire's memory, her laugh, her words, pushed me forward. Things escalated when Mom organized a backyard barbecue for Michelle's business milestone. I showed up hoping for normalcy, but Mom started right away in front of guests. Isabella, grab Nathan's phone and sort his sales tracker. He's close to a big win, unlike some. Her contempt was palpable, humiliating me publicly. Michelle joined in, but Mom lit the match. That barbecue turned into a nightmare I couldn't shake. As guests mingled with plates of grilled burgers and salads, Mom kept directing jabs my way, her voice carrying over the chatter. "Isabella, don't just stand there. Help Michelle with her client list. She's the one actually succeeding here." It was her starting every slight, making sure I felt like the outsider in my own family, while Michelle nodded along and Nathan snickered. The humiliation stung, but I bit my tongue and did the task, updating Michelle's spreadsheet on my phone amid the laughter. Later that night, driving back to my studio, tears blurred the city lights on the interstate. Why did I keep showing up? Mom's deep-seated resentment had always been there. She'd made it clear I was the child she regretted, the one who didn't boost her ego like Michelle or indulge her like Nathan. But now, with the fire's ashes still fresh in my mind, her actions felt like deliberate cruelty. I added the barbecue incident to my ledger. Public demand for help, no thanks, implied I'm a failure. The document was growing a stark record of how she used me as a scapegoat. Over the next few months, the pressure ramped up in ways that wore me down. Mom called one Tuesday evening, her tone impatient as always. "Isabella, Nathan's in a bind with his sneaker inventory. Run the numbers on whether he should sell now or hold. And don't take forever. He's got potential, unlike your safe little job." She initiated it, framing it as my duty while dismissing my own career as an accounts receivable coordinator. I spent hours that night crunching figures, only for Nathan to text thanks with a thumbs up emoji, no real gratitude. Meanwhile, at work, my focus slipped. I mixed up vendor payments, leading to a stern talk from my supervisor. Isabella, this isn't like you, he said, and I nodded, hiding how Mom's endless demands were bleeding into my life. Then came the health scare. I'd been feeling run down, skipping meals to handle family tasks when a migraine hit so hard I ended up in urgent care. The doctor mentioned stress-induced symptoms, advising rest and boundaries. But when I mentioned it casually in a group text, Mom fired back first. Don't dramatize, Isabella, you're young. Tough it out like Michelle does with her business. Her contempt dismissed my pain, turning it into another chance to favor my sister. Michelle chimed in with advice about positive vibes, but it was Mom who made me feel worthless. That week, my boyfriend at the time broke things off during a quiet coffee meetup in Broad Ripple. You're always distracted, Isabella, family stuff takes over everything, he said gently. I couldn't argue. Mom's orchestration of the family's reliance on me had isolated me further. The breaking point crept closer around the 6-month mark after the fire. Mom organized a holiday gathering at their house, not a dinner, but an afternoon open house with neighbors dropping by for cookies and cocoa. I arrived with a store-bought pie, hoping to blend in, but Mom cornered me by the fireplace right away. Isabella, pull up Dad's store accounts on your phone. There's a discrepancy, and you're the only one who can fix it without whining. In front of relatives, her words humiliated me, implying I was lazy. Dad stood by. Michelle smirked while chatting with guests. Nathan grabbed snacks without a care. I did the fix, but inside rage simmered. Why was I the eternal fixer while they lived carefree? Mom's dislike fueled it. She saw me as beneath them, a tool to prop up her favorites. Back in my studio that night, I opened the ledger again, scrolling through entries that now spanned years. Mom's medical portals handled 20 times. Dad's invoices balanced quarterly. Michelle's events budgets reworked for 8 clients. Nathan's loans, $3,000 outstanding in bits like 200, here 500, there. The imbalance hit hard. I'd given endlessly, but when my world burned, Mom laughed first, setting the tone for their cruelty. My health job and relationships were crumbling under the weight, all because she treated me like a disposable extension of herself. Things got worse when Mom started leveraging social media more aggressively. She'd post about family unity on her local influencer page, but privately, she'd mock me. One day, she shared a group photo from the gathering captioning it, "Blessed with kids who shine proud of the hustlers." No mention of me, but in the comments someone asked about the other daughter. And Mom replied, "She's finding her way slowly." It was a subtle dig, but it hurt. Then Nathan posted a meme in our family chat, a burning house with laughing faces tagging me, "Remember this, sis." Mom reacted with a heart emoji, first encouraging the joke. Her initiation of the mockery made it clear she resented my independence, seeing it as a betrayal. By the 9-month point, the toll was undeniable. I'd lost another client at work due to a late report. I'd been up fixing Michelle's latest event overages, at Mom's insistence. "Your sister's counting on you," Mom had said over the phone, her voice sharp. "Don't let her down like you do yourself." The stress led to therapy. I started sessions with a counselor downtown, unpacking how Mom's favoritism had shaped my self-worth. "She sounds like she never wanted you to succeed on your own," the therapist noted, and it rang true. Mom had always steered conflicts, starting with belittling comments that others amplified. The real escalation hit on the fire's 1-year anniversary. I wasn't planning to mark it, just another day grinding at work, then home to my quiet studio. But scrolling social media that evening, I saw Michelle's post a photo of her and Nathan at a trendy bar in Fountain Square skyline, twinkling, captioned, "1 year free of dead weight, embracing growth." Nathan commented with fire emojis, Dad a thumbs up, but Mom's reply sealed it. "So proud of how we've moved forward without the drama." No names, but it was aimed at me, the dead weight, the one whose tragedy they'd laughed at. Mom had initiated this narrative, twisting my pain into their triumph. I sat on my worn couch, heart pounding, the ledger open on my laptop. Clarity washed over me. Without my quiet support, their perfect lives would unravel. Mom, who preached self-reliance online, relied on me for everything practical. If she could start every attack, dismiss my suffering, and use me relentlessly, why was I still propping them up? That night, I added a new section: exit strategy. Worm. Step by step, like a work project list, all accesses transfer back. Cut loans, set boundaries. It wasn't sabotage, just withdrawal. The decision felt like a weightlifting, but also terrifying. What would Mom do when her main target pushed back the next morning after a fitful night of sleep interrupted by flashes of that mocking post? I sat at my small kitchen table in the studio, sipping bitter coffee from a chipped mug. I stared at the exit strategy section in my ledger, the steps laid out like a roadmap to freedom. It wasn't about hurting them. It was about stopping the hurt they inflicted on me. Mom had always been the architect of my pain, starting every major slight with her words or demands. Her resentment clear in how she positioned me as the lesser child. If I pulled back, she'd feel it most, as she relied on me to maintain her facade of control. I took a deep breath and started with a simple message in the family group chat. Hey everyone, I'm stepping away from handling any finances, paperwork, or accounts for you all. Over the next couple weeks, I'll transfer everything back and remove my access. After that, you'll need to manage it yourselves or hire help. I hit send, my hands steady, knowing Mom would react first. Sure enough, her reply popped up within minutes, her words sharp even in text. Isabella, what is this nonsense? You can't just drop us like that. We're family, and you've always been the one to handle the boring stuff. She initiated the pushback, dismissing my boundaries as an overreaction, just like she always started our conflicts by belittling my choices. Michelle added a confused emoji. Nathan wrote, seriously. But Dad stayed silent at first. I didn't engage. Instead, I began the transfers methodically. For Dad's store accounts, I exported reports on outstanding invoices and upcoming tax deadlines, creating a clear guide with due dates like quarterly filing due in 3 months. I emailed it to him, changing the admin to his info and logging myself out. When he texted later, why can't I access the full history? It was Mom who called me that evening, her voice laced with contempt. Isabella, you're causing chaos for your father. He's swamped with the store, and you're punishing him because you're too sensitive. I kept my response even. It's his business, Mom. He needs to own it. But she pressed on, starting the guilt trip as always. After all we've sacrificed for you, this is how you repay us. You're selfish, just like I always knew. Her words echoed her deep dislike, seeing me as the ungrateful one who didn't deserve her sacrifices, which mostly meant favoring Michelle and Nathan. That call ended with her hanging up, but it fueled my resolve. Next, I tackled her own messes, her medical portals and bills. I'd handled dozens over the years, from rescheduling appointments to negotiating fees. I printed a list of logins, upcoming labs, and how to reset passwords, emailing it with, "This is everything for your health accounts. I'm removing my access today." I turned off my reminders for her follow-ups, feeling a pang but pushing through. She texted back immediately, "Isabella, this is ridiculous. You know I hate technology. Fix it, or you'll regret making me struggle." Her threat hung there, but I didn't budge. For Michelle, it was her event planning files. I'd reworked budgets for her clients, ensuring vendors got paid on time. I cleaned one last spreadsheet for a upcoming gala, added notes like "deposit non-refundable after next week," and shared it back solely to her, removing myself. She messaged privately, "What, I need you on this. Mom said you'd help." But it was Mom who escalated, showing up unannounced at my studio the next day, banging on the door until I opened it. Her face was flushed, eyes narrow with that familiar contempt. "Isabella, you're sabotaging your sister's career. Her big event could fall apart without your tweaks. How dare you pull this now?" She started the confrontation, storming in without invitation, her dislike boiling over as she paced my tiny living room. You've always been the jealous one resenting Michelle's success. This is your way of dragging us down. I stood my ground for the first time, my voice steady. No, Mom, this is me stopping you from dragging me down. You've treated me like a servant while praising them. She scoffed, dismissing it. You're exaggerating as usual. Family helps family. But her eyes betrayed the resentment. She'd never seen me as equal, always the scapegoat. She left in a huff, slamming the door, and I added the visit to my ledger. Mom's uninvited demand accused me of jealousy. Nathan was last. I'd loaned him over $3,000 in total, like $800 for inventory last month. I sent him a summary. Here's what you've borrowed, no more loans from me. I'm not chasing repayment, but it's done. He called, but Mom texted first. Isabella, Nathan's counting on you for his next flip. Don't ruin his potential because you're bitter. The reactions poured in over the following weeks, always spearheaded by Mom's aggressive pushes. She organized a video call to talk sense into me, starting with, Isabella, this stops now. You're tearing this family apart with your pettiness. Michelle complained about a vendor mix-up, Nathan about missing a sale opportunity, Dad about a late supplier payment. But Mom drove at her contempt clear. See what you've done. Your father's store is suffering because you couldn't handle a little help. The consequences started unfolding in real ways. Dad got a notice from suppliers about overdue invoices. He'd ignored my guide, leading to a $2,000 late fee that cut into his profits. He lost a regular client who switched to a competitor after delays. Mom missed a specialist appointment, incurring a $500 cancellation charge, and her influencer posts slowed as she dealt with billing disputes herself. This is your fault, she texted, initiating another rant. I can't focus on my content because of the mess you left. Michelle's gala downsized dramatically. She couldn't balance the overages, losing a key sponsor and shifting to a smaller venue, costing her reputation with clients. My business is hurting, she messaged, but Mom called me afterward. Isabella, Michelle's humiliated. You've always envied her shine. This proves it. Nathan's sneaker flip stalled without my calculations or loans. He defaulted on a small credit line, racking up interest, and had to sell personal stuff to cover basics. The family dynamic cracked, arguments erupted at their house, with Mom blaming me in every one. If Isabella hadn't abandoned us, none of this would happen. Her deep dislike turned outward, but without my support, her control slipped. She even posted vaguely online about betrayals from within, but followers noticed the shift, commenting on the less polished content. As their world unraveled, mine began to heal. Without the constant demands, I focused on work, regaining my boss's trust, even earning a small raise of $1,000 annually for improved performance. Therapy helped unpack Mom's resentment. She projected her insecurities onto you, my counselor said during a session in a quiet downtown office. I started running along the Monon Trail, shedding the stress weight I'd gained, and rekindled friendships neglected under family pressure. One coworker who'd heard about the fire invited me to group outings, no strings, just genuine care. I dated casually again, without cancellations for emergencies. My studio felt like a sanctuary, not a hideout. I updated the ledger one final time, renaming it My Balance, archiving the old entries as reminders but adding new ones. Promoted at work, ran 5 miles, dinner with friends. The final confrontation came 2 months into my boundaries when Mom showed up at my door again, this time with Dad in tow. It was a rainy afternoon in Indianapolis, puddles reflecting the gray sky. She knocked insistently, and when I opened, she launched in first. Isabella, enough, your father's store is on the brink. Michelle's lost clients. Nathan's struggling. You've punished us long enough. Get back to helping. Her voice cracked with desperation, but the contempt lingered. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Proving you're better than us. Dad shifted uncomfortably, but she pressed. Fix it now, or you're no daughter of mine. For the first time, I saw the fear behind her hatred. She'd built her life on exploiting me, favoring the others to mask her own flaws. I met her eyes calmly. Mom, I'm done being your scapegoat. You've always treated me like I was less, starting every fight, every demand, every humiliation. The fire showed me your true feelings. You laughed while I lost everything. Now face your own messes. She recoiled, sputtering, "You're heartless." But I closed the door gently, heart racing but free. After that, contact faded, sporadic texts from Michelle or Nathan, but Mom's silence spoke volumes. Their lives adjusted in diminished ways. Dad hired a part-timer for books. Mom scaled back posts. Michelle pivoted to smaller events. Nathan got a steady job. No apologies came, but the consequences were their karma. What I learned is that family isn't about blood, it's about respect and boundaries. Love shouldn't come with contempt or exploitation. I won't let mom or that side hurt me again. I've chosen myself, building a life where I'm valued. Have you ever had to set boundaries with a toxic mom? What would you do in my shoes? Share your stories in the comments.